Mike and his mother Sarah lived in a sharply white two-story house about 8 miles from the city and half a mile away from a red diner which worked throughout the week and the weekend. The house was adjacent to naught else but the road and the forest. Mike was homeschooled and 16 years of age, and his mother worked as a teacher in the city. She would wake up at about 6 o'clock in the morning and start up the blue Jeep, which was parked by the house at around 7 o'clock in the morning, and go to the city. She would usually come back home at around 7:30 in the evening. It was winter and Mike was feeling insecure staying alone at home. The house had a tall, big attic which neither Mike nor his mom ever visited, because the way it was built gave off a frightening vibe. Something within the position of the bricks and the whiteness continuing on upward and upward could frighten anybody. Was it the sway of shadows the attic cast upon the staircase? Was it the oldness and barrenness its walls gave out? Well, it was perhaps the combination of many things, but they never went into the attic themselves. When he would sleep, Mike would get nightmares. When he was awake throughout the day learning or watching TV or playing video games, he would feel watched. Sometimes food would disappear from the fridge, and the drapes in the upper rooms would move on their own. Sometimes when he was alone, he would feel the whiteness of the walls and almost hear whispers coming out of them. It was frightening. So frightening being alone hour upon hour in the winter and knowing you could not leave the house and go anywhere. One day, Mike was on the lower floor watching TV when he heard the opening of a door. A chill ran through his spine and he felt coldness. He quickly picked up his mobile phone and stared at its screen. Then he heard a footstep and, looking backward, could see a shadow peering in through the upper sections of the staircase. He quickly shot up and walked to the front door. It was cold and his hands were trembling. He put on a jacket summarily and exited out the house. Just as he did so, he glanced at the window and saw a figure walking along the staircase from inside the house. He ran away in a swift manner, and because he hadn't the keys to the gate, he climbed on top of the fence and jumped. Falling on the opposite side and leaving the perimeter of the house in the garden, he looked toward the window of the house again and saw nobody on the staircase. However, just at that moment, he saw that the curtains moved on their own up in the attic. Fear gripped him like never before. He was frightened to his core. The slow movement of the curtains felt like the dingiest scene of a blackened nightmare. He was so alone. He quickly dialed his mother's phone number, but she wouldn't pick up. He didn't know what to do. He knew one thing. He couldn't go back to the house. So he started walking through the snowy road toward the diner. It took about 15 minutes. He entered in shivering and frightened. A deep scowl was upon his face, and his eyelids were moving swiftly. He felt cold and alone and frightened.